Hey everyone, Brian from CiderMag here, back with another episode of Line by Line, CiderMagTV's in-depth look at the best songwriters around our music scene. Today we have a very special episode planned, welcoming 4 exceptional musicians and songwriters into the studio together as they close in on a very special performance happening this month at Tupelo Music Hall in White River Junction. Please welcome our guests for today, appearing August 30th at Tupelo in a show being called Songwriters Playing Each Other's Songs. From Rick Redington and the Love, Rick Redington. From Joey Leone and the Chop Shop, Joey Leone. From both Perfect Trainwreck and Holy Plow, Bow Thayer. And from the Tony Lee Thomas Band, Tony Lee Thomas. All right, welcome to Line by Line. We welcome Rick Redington, Tony Lee Thomas, Bow Thayer, and Joey Leone to the set. Thank you for joining me, guys.
Yes.
We're going to start off, we're going to dive right into the August 30th Songwriters Showcase that you guys are all involved in at Tupelo Music Hall in White River Junction. Joey, the original idea was yours, the mastermind behind it. Why did you come up with the idea, and why did you choose these 3 guys to join you on stage?
Well, the idea I was stimulated by something that I had seen was George Harrison playing with Paul Simon on the old Saturday Night Live, and also a video that recently had surfaced with James Taylor and Carole King playing at the Troubadour back in the 70s. It was kind of just this idea of them playing each other's songs and the respect that they had given each other, and I was just working on a record of my own original material, and these are guys, the 3 guys that I looked up to the most as guys who were playing original material. And I figured selfishly the best way to do something like this was to get the 3 best guys that I could find who would work together, and guys I already have a relationship with, and guys I knew would stimulate the music with each other and would be cool working with each other.
So who was the first phone call once you had the idea?
The funny thing is, you mentioned that last time we spoke, but I don't remember exactly. It was all within 2 minutes. So I don't know if Bo was first or Rick was first, but they were all within 2 minutes of each other. And then Tony was an afterthought, of course. No, Tony actually was a guy who I had thought of, but I thought of Tony later on because we're a little bit closer, friendship-wise, and I knew that if I asked him, he couldn't say no. I was concerned whether Bo or Rick would be A, interested in doing it, or B, available. Tony, I knew I could muscle him. I knew I could I could threaten him with personal, not grievous bodily harm, but I could just say I was not going to be his friend anymore, and I was going to take my ball and go home. So basically that was it. So Tony's a guy, obviously, I thought would add some good looks to this thing too. He's a good-looking young man, and I thought that we might need it for venues such as this.
So for those of you who don't know, the premise behind the show is that each of them are going to be playing a portion, or not a portion, that's wrong, edit. Yeah, for those of you that don't know how this show is going to work out, each of them will be playing each other's songs throughout the night, as well as a couple solo performances by each performer as well. So Rick, from Rick Redington and the Love, you get the phone call and say, here's my idea, this is what I'm interested in doing, I want to put it together, are you in? What was your first thoughts?
I thought it sounded great, actually. Anytime that we get to have Joey sit in with us, he's an amazing guitar player, so it always sort of ups the ante for us. I'm actually been a fan of Bo's stuff for a while, and we kind of run in parallel paths. Tony and I have kind of been working in the same venues, but don't really get a chance to see each other. He's been at Killington the past couple of years, and I had sort of taken a break from Killington. And I know that Tony was one of the sort of unusual people who came into the ski area and kind of started playing some original music as well, which you don't really see a lot of. So to me, it made good sense, for the 4 of us to sit and play.
And Bo, when you got the call, how did you feel about the idea, and why did you want to get involved?
Well, I didn't know how much I was going to make, first of all. I don't know. Joey always is good about paying people. So yeah, it's fully just for the money.
Oh, by the way,
Oh yeah.
but just take a check.
Oh yeah. I'll be getting the 1099.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it just sounded like a great idea. To get four cats that kind of know each other and play in the area and do it at a venue that is a proper listening venue. Get us out of the bars into a place where people could really sit down and listen to our tunes and see how it gels. And yeah, it's a great idea. So I was like, I'm in.
So the three obvious, I mean, with Rick, Bo, and yourself, Joey, being Central Vermont musicians and playing the Vermont New Hampshire circuit very heavily, enter Tony Lee Thomas from Massachusetts. So what did you think when you got the call and were asked to participate in this? What were your thoughts on it?
I looked at the calendar, and I had a really busy night that night bagging groceries. I figured maybe I could talk to the manager, get a couple hours to ride up to Vermont. I mean, was I worried about Joey taking his bat and ball and going home? Not so much as the grievous bodily harm. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to play with these three guys?
So you guys, the decision gets made and the lineup is decided on, and we know we're going to Tupelo and White River Junction, which is a great room. How did you guys go about choosing the songs that not only are you going to perform solo, but choosing the songs that you're basically giving up to the group and saying, here's my material, and how do you go about choosing the songs, Rick?
For starters, I think, I tried to choose something that was pretty easy for us all to just, hang on and have fun with. Maybe, I think we each brought a couple in that'll be a little tricky for us on some levels, but I picked, on certain things I definitely could hear Bo's banjo style, you know what I mean? Certain things I definitely could hear Joey playing, leads on. So I don't know, I just kind of picked the four tunes that I thought would gel with what these other guys were going to bring to the plate. You know what I mean? So we all sounded like we were in the same church or whatever.
Tony, how'd you go about choosing the songs that you're going to perform that night?
I kind of wanted to think about it that way as far as what would fit, but we didn't really. You would have to be the last guy, like if I were to look at it like making an album, like how is this all going to fit together, all of our tunes? You would have to be the last guy to know what the other three tunes were. So then it was just kind of a question of, I don't know, what songs would be best for three other band leaders to do, and what skills are we bringing to the table? Everybody's a multi-instrumentalist, everybody's a vocalist. So I tried to pick the ones that I thought would be best suited for vocal harmony, because that's my favorite thing.
Bo being the banjo man of the group, which definitely might bring a little bit of a challenge when you're going to choose the songs, because most of your stuff is based around the banjo. How did you choose the songs that are going to be implemented that night?
To be honest, I haven't quite made up my mind yet what I'm going to choose, but the one that we're definitely have chosen is an easy one-chord song, so we can't really screw it up. And it's fun to play, and it's kind of creepy and bluesy, and it's made me hundreds of dollars, like I said. It's all about the money. And but yeah, I don't plan on playing banjo all night long. I'm not really that good of a banjo player, but I do use it to write the songs. So it's my tool. But yeah, pretty much what Rick and Tony said, just something that's gonna be fun to play and something I could hear these guys playing along with. I could definitely hear, some of Rick's cigar box guitar playing on that. I love that stuff, and of course Joey can play anything. And we're gonna get the young stud up on bass too, right?
If you guys don't kick me off the stage, I'll hang out.
Yeah. So we'll get Tony thumping along the bass, and yeah, I'm zeroing in. I'll consult the wife. Maybe she'll know what to do.
Joey, how did you go about choosing what you're gonna put in the repertoire?
I definitely thought like the other guys did, that definitely songs that were going to exemplify the versatility of the musicians involved, obviously, but I think there was also an element of you know, when I think of Bow as a banjo player, I don't think of him as like, you know, like a Johnny Hartford type banjo player or like a traditional. He's like an idea songwriting kind of a banjo player. So it's not like I didn't pick a song that there would be like 32 bars of him taking a solo. I kind of thought of him as an ensemble player playing my song, adding something to, when I'm saying adding something to it, an element that would make it a unique experience. I think the thing that we'd all love to walk away from this is with versions of our songs that were performed that night, that we took something from that and either added it to our show or just added it to the mosaic of the music that we make. Like there was a night that I played with these other cats, and there was a version of one of my songs. You know, someday if these songs become, you know, known to the public, they will seek these things out on YouTube and go, yeah, there was that one song that Rick did. I always was a big fan of his. I've seen him do it, but there's that night he played with Bo, Joey, and Tony. That version of it had to, and there's always a nervous element that happens when you get musicians together, of that mutual respect / fear that happens where guys are like, I don't want to mess this up, which stimulates some really good, thoughtful playing.
I wonder if that resonates through the whole group. Is it, you know, the part of getting this phone call and this idea, which is definitely different than revolving around the bar scene or playing the same typical venues that you become accustomed to? Was it a challenge? Is there a challenge there to say like, yeah, not only do we think we can do this, but we're going to pull it off and make it incredibly unique and a different show than people are used to seeing around here?
Yeah, like I had said when we were doing the interview for the magazine, I can refer to that, of course, right? How, you know, we play a lot of gigs, you know, we don't play a lot of shows. We don't always get a chance to play a lot of shows. And like what Bo was talking about, it being a listening venue and us, you know, showcasing the material and taking the time at least a couple of months out to think about it ahead of time and sort of even put the energy into telling our friend, everybody networking amongst their own fans, you know what I mean? Because honestly, July and August really does become sort of the busiest time for us if we're out touring with our music, you know what I mean? So to even try it right now was a little bit crazy because everybody's so busy, but I think that that overall we knew that it was going to work out, you know?
So let's dive into the songs. Start with Rick Redington's song "Sweet Life." My first exposure to "Sweet Life" was on YouTube with your son Ben, who was maybe 10 or 11 in the video.
I think he was about 8, actually.
I knew he looked a lot younger than he is now. So
maybe 9. I think he was about 9 in that video, and we basically shot that in our cellar where he had started playing, and it was you know, simple enough song. There was just a few notes for him to play bass on. So that's kind of how he started playing bass, and we shot that clip together.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about the song and what inspired it, how you wrote it?
Well, it was like I had the chords for a while, actually, just these kind of same 3 droning chords that go over and over again, and I knew that I was going to, you know, put something good in there, you know, that the words would come. And Sweet Life basically has kind of become like, you know, my signature song because it's a little bit like my life's resume, you know. It's kind of like what Bo said, I've made hundreds of dollars off it, you know, and it really is, people have, you know, asked, you know, had us come to play their wedding. I've played, you know, people's funerals, I've played, you know, birthdays, all different gatherings, and, you know, it's an honor for actually someone to ask you to perform that song during any of those things, to tell you the truth, you know. So I had the 3 chords, you know, that I knew that I was going to write some words to, and basically going through all those kind of life events from, you know, father who was, you know, dying of cancer, you know, my daughter Maya had just been born, you know, so you're kind of going through birth and death and all the dynamics in between. So every verse is definitely, the words came really, really quickly, as a matter of fact, probably just sort of waiting and knowing that I wasn't going to try to force any lyrics into it. The words to that song came to me probably in less than an hour, you know what I mean, and completed it, and definitely not without a lot of you know, energy that comes into it. I think by the time that you finish writing a song that I think that you think is really good, it's a little draining, you know what I mean? It can almost be like a little draining, but I knew that it was going to be something good, and each verse kind of wrote itself, you know what I mean, and had a certain depth of meaning to it that I couldn't imagine changing any of it, you know what I mean, or it being any different, I guess.
So now you wrote this after your daughter Maya had just been born, and
Right.
Maya is 16 or 17?
Should be 16 in October, yeah.
So this song has some history to it.
It does, yeah.
Has it morphed or changed at all, or has it been the same since the original writing?
It totally changes a lot. I think verses can take on even different meanings, and I think that the cool thing about anything, whether it's a song or a piece of art that someone has done, is how that line or that color or something resonates to a different person, to you or somebody else who hears it. You know, and if it means that much to somebody else that it meant to you when you were originally writing it, then I think that's kind of the crux of the whole songwriting thing. You know what I mean? To resonate with somebody that hard, that has as much meaning to that person as it does to you. You know what I mean?
Well, let's take a look at a couple of those lyrics. You can't really explain, it's so hard to contain, but you feel it will work out, or you might go insane. This is life. No one said it would be easy. If you could give us a little bit of meaning behind that.
Today felt like that to me. In all honesty, I think it's kind of just that zenness of, you know, if you kind of want to live life to its fullest, it's definitely not going to be like a cakewalk. You're going to probably, the more adversity that you hit in your life and the more things that you struggle or go through, I think it's going to, you know, that which doesn't kill you makes you a stronger person, I guess. You know what I mean? So I think that is sort of the zen bittersweetness of. It's definitely probably the harder it is for people. In the end, I guess the quality of your life can be even better because of that stuff you've suffered through, I guess.
Sure. Another lyric, well, you might not believe all the things I've seen since the 40-something years from my birth. I've been given a daughter and lost a father, so much joy and pain on this earth, but I never exchanged the sweet life that I've made. For all it's worth, I'm still quite amazed at this life. So, I mean, it's obviously bringing everything together, life, death, newborn, everything
involved. It sounds great with you saying it.
Hey,
but go ahead, what were you going to...
Well, is that really how, you know, the whole song kind of encapsulates the struggles, the joys, the ups and downs of life?
I think so. I think that it is. It's like life is kind of so simple that it's actually complex. You know what I mean? Like, and I do think that's what it covers, sort of the struggles and the payoffs and the joys of it. You know what I mean? So basically that verse was about kind of like what I was just talking about in the beginning of the whole thing. So.
All right. Without further ado, let's join Rick Redington with his performance of Sweet Life.
You can't really explain, it's so hard to contain, but you feel it will work out, or you might go insane. This is a life. No one said it would be easy. Does not pay to ignore it. If you think it's a bore, it's because you just don't have a clue. Don't like that, I hate this. You won't see what you miss if you don't stop and breathe in some life. Oh, life. Sweet life. Oh, life. Yeah. Sweet life. Oh, you might not believe all the things I've seen since the 40-some ideas from my birth. I've been given a daughter, but then lost a father. So much joy and pain on this earth. But I'd never exchange the sweet life that I've made for all it is worth. I'm still quite amazed at this life. Sweet life. You once called out my name, but I didn't react, and that still doesn't mean that I never look back. Oh, but in time, we gotta all move ahead. by the privilege I've abused. But hey, I still have no regrets. All these times we keep repeating the strong mental beating. All these things that they do to your head. Still they judge you wrong, but the soul is quite strong. And if you're lucky, it all turns around. Then you sit down one day, you hear yourself say, this is such a wonderful life. Oh, life, sweet, wonderful, wonderful life. Sweet life. Once I met a young girl whose place in this world was to spread this incredible light. Our time came and it went, but the time that we spent is still something that burns in my mind. Oh, love lost, it's the cost that we pay just to cross another path into this life. Oh, life. Sweet life. And so you'll have to agree that it's not just me, and I know that you know what I mean. And you have heard this before, and I know it falls short, but I just like to hear myself speak. So be kind, do not talk before you finish that thought. I just like to say, have a good life. Oh, life. Sweet life. Oh, life. Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Now, now, now.
All right, we're back with Tony Lee Thomas of the Tony Lee Thomas Band from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Tony, can you tell me a little bit about your band, the kind of music that you play?
Yeah, I'm a guitarist, so that's my songwriting tool. So most of the songs are based off of guitar forms from blues to folk, and then influences beyond like bluegrass, funk. I change the live formats up a lot, try to keep things relatively fresh. So from solo performances to 8-piece bands, the sound can change, and I think it kind of affects what genre you think you might be listening to, even though it's the same song that I've written. It'll sound like a folk song one night or a funk tune the next night.
And you also play the bass guitar as well. You play bass in the band, or is that something that you do just...
Once in a while, if I feel like grabbing it, and the bassist that I'm working with can play the guitar.
So, one of Tony's songs that he'll be playing, or the group will be playing at on August 30th at Tupelo is Wishing Well, which is a very cool song that I was listening to earlier today, probably about 15 times. A quick couple lyrics from that I'd like to discuss. I know a place across the river, over the hills and under the sun. When you get there, it don't matter where you're from or what you've done. You've been fighting for a long time. Some battles lost, some won. Tell me a little bit first about the song in general, Wishing Well, and then those initial lyrics. what message are you trying to get across, and what does the song mean to you?
Well, the idea for the song is, I mean, there are obviously a number of ways to approach writing a song. And this one in particular was, I wanted to communicate a specific idea honoring the men and women who work for hospice care. My mom has worked in hospice care for over 30 years, and it's one of those things that you don't really hear too much about until someone in your family is on their deathbed, and then it's, oh, this is who we have to work with. But these people, these professionals, build relationships with people that are not long for this world, and then they die, and then they have to do it all over again. So if you can imagine doing that for decades, as hard as it is to lose a family member or a friend, but to keep doing that as a profession, I thought that was particularly challenging and deserving of a little attention. So, but I also have never worked in hospice myself. So how do you write a song about something that you've never done? So my approach was to think about what my experience was like letting go of my grandfather in my late teens, who I spent a year or two taking care of in his last year or two of life. And then knowing, what I know from conversations that I've had with men and women who work for hospice care, the hospice nurses, and how they talk about, what you can feasibly contribute to that person's last experience. As far as trying to get them to focus on positive memories, or if they do have a religious background, and how you can encourage them to make that transition. So looking at that lyric, for example, one of the musical influences that I kind of drew upon for this song was I spent a lot of time doing vocal arrangements and choirs and stuff. So the first thing that I thought of was this old spiritual dirge, Deep River. Deep river, thy home is over Jordan. It's like this beautiful. But when they talk about the promised land in a lot of these old hymns, there is this sort of geographical imagery that comes along with
making it a real place. Yeah.
Right, and to try to personify that journey. So obviously the song went far away from a hymn or a dirge so much, but that had a big impact on it, not just lyrically, but also, I put it in the key of D to try to drop it down a little lower and to get those lower sort of, I don't know, what in my mind is sort of, subconsciously influencing my vocal, sort of this deep droning sensation that's almost more ethereal than musical, you know what I mean?
Did you find writing the lyrics and writing the music for something as powerful as, a death in the family? Was it easier to write? Was it more difficult to come up with the right words and the right message, or did it come smoothly and easily?
A little bit of both. I would say that it was easy in the respect that, when you draw on something so personal and so powerful in your life, it almost expresses itself. It's kind of feeling that when you were talking about your song Sweet Life and how some of the verses wrote themselves. I felt the same way writing Wishing Well. But the difficulty for me came in with, that personal emotional attachment to a tragedy in your past, So then, in order to summon that, especially in a performance, you have to kind of reface those, I don't want to say demons, but, the power of those emotions that you experience. And I think for something that important, they never really go away. And to communicate that effectively in a performance, I think you really do need to draw on that,
Absolutely. My favorite lyric from the song: pitch your pennies down that well, boy, close your eyes and make a wish. Dream about your true love and that first kiss upon your lips. Maybe we're all just pennies in waters so dark you can't see, but one thing's for sure is every wish gets heard eventually. If you could expand on that and tell me what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot in there for me. I feel like, in one respect, if I try to imagine what I would be thinking on my deathbed, I feel like the most obvious concern is like, did I do enough with my life? Like, have I done what I set out to do? Like, do my sins outweigh my victories? Like, I don't know. I feel like I would be stressing about that. So again, going back to the idea of being at someone's bedside and trying to coax them away from that precipice, and what you can ask them to put on the forefront of their attention to take it to a more positive place, to make that transition. a benevolent one. I feel like, you know, asking for that focus to change to the brightest memories and the most positive things that that person can look back on and feel good about the life that they've had, the time they've been given, you know.
Which I assume is where the whole thing kind of comes together. Just look what your love can do.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's true now.
Yeah.
So it's saying that once it's all done and over with, look what you actually accomplished with your life and the lives that you've affected. A very cool song, very cool lyrics, and we'll join Tony now for his performance of Wishing Well.
Well, I know a place across the river, over the hills and under the sun. When you get there, it don't matter where you're from or what you've done. Well, you've been fighting for a long time, and some battles lost and some won. Well, I came to see you through, and I'm gonna carry you now to the place where you belong. Hold on tight to your love now, lay down all the rest. And fireworks and playgrounds, Mama's cooking was always the best. It's your light in the darkness, Lord knows I see my fill, yeah. And if you need someone to walk with you, well, I will. Well, I came to see you through, and I'm gonna carry you now into the place where you belong. So put your pennies down that well, boy. Close your eyes and make a wish. And dream about your true love. Ah, and that first kiss upon your lips. You see, maybe we're all just pennies in water so dark that you can't see. That's for sure, every wish gets heard eventually. Well, I came to see you through, and I'm gonna carry you now. Just look what your love can do. It's the only thing that's true now. Place where you belong, where you belong.
guys. I want to ask a quick question and pose it to all four of you as a group. As songwriters, does sitting around and talking about someone's lyrics and talking about the reasoning behind someone's lyric make it even more interesting to eventually be playing their songs on stage? Because knowing exactly where a song comes from allows emotion to come through in performance. I don't think any musician would argue with that. So I'm just curious what your guys' take is in the first couple songs that we've discussed here. Maybe what do you guys take out of it from listening to other people talk about their songs? Bo?
Well, it's definitely a big help for me to, when I sit down and hear these songs and how I'm going to fit my little role into them, knowing, like, after hearing what their personal experience was, where the lyrics came from, it's pretty heavy, and it's like, wow, okay, that's what that song's about. All right, it's definitely helpful. But yeah, I think after hearing them sort of set up and explained will definitely give me direction as a side guy.
What do you think, Joey? What comes to mind when you're listening to other musicians talk about their lyrics?
Well, I think about the typical thing you see on television when they have a director working with an actor and he goes, okay, what's my motivation? It's going to motivate you what you're playing to hear that. But also, for me, it boils back down to the fact that when you put talented people together, like talented, committed people to their art, stuff like that, it's like when you plant potatoes and then when you dig them up in the fall and they just come up out of the ground. It's not surprising to me because I know the depth of these guys, and I know what. So it's going to stimulate the music, but I think for me it also is part of the bigger picture of having four guys sitting together here whose now mutual admiration, mutual respect is going to grow, which is something that it was really the thing that I really wanted to have happen. So the music to me is a given. It's going to be great music, I know that. But the relationships that are forming now between the four of us is the thing to me that is the greatest part of it. We can play music, but sitting around kidding around and talking to you and having this discussion is even bigger for that for me.
So let's talk about another one. We'll talk about Bow Thayer's Tug of War. If you could give me a little background about the song. It's a fairly new song, correct?
It's hot off the presses.
Hot off the press.
There's a lot. I chose to bring this song to the table today just because it's the last song I've written, so it's also so it's fresh, and a lot of songs I write them and I don't know what the hell they're about until years later sometimes, and it's like the meaning will percolate to the surface after the words have come out and everything's been written. I have songs that I still really don't get, but I get glimmers of truth come to the surface even now. So with this song, maybe you don't know exactly what it's about yet, but I would say that it's very close to what Sweet Life is about for Rick. I don't know if this will be a song that Tug of War will be a song that will be something I'll be playing years from now, but it's definitely the latest one I've done. It's in 6/4, so it's a waltz. I get to play it on my new little fancy banjo, woody thing they brought, and it's about. I wrote it from the perspective of I guess an older person,
like Rick.
I think Rick might be younger than me.
I don't know. We'll discuss that after.
I've been going through a midlife crisis since the 80s, so it's kind of about that too, I suppose. But it's definitely a song about someone reflecting back in their life. And it's all in the lyrics. It's about the pushing and the pulling. It's called Tug of War. It's about finding balance, I guess.
So let's talk about a couple of those lyrics from Tug of War. Me and the missus were scarred for life, years after putting out fires with ice. Roll back the pages in hands of time. The days roll away like dew off the vine.
Yeah, that's the opening lyric. That was what came to me. That came to me about that quickly too, and started the song rolling. Me and the missus scarred for life. I guess that's about being with someone for so long. in dealing with problems in a very cold way. You know, maybe not talking everything through, putting out fires with ice. You know, and again, the wordplay, put out fires with water. Well, ice is frozen water. It's kind of, you know, maybe not putting all the conversation needed into solving problems, whether it's a marital problem or whatever. And so things kind of get put on ice. And after a while, you know, it leaves some scars.
Sure.
So that's, you know, that's where that lyric is kind of about.
I'm amazed at the way that the waves come in, breaking on the breakers in a rhyming sequence. The highs and the lows, the ebb and the flow. You push and pull, tug of war you can never control.
Right. Again, reflection, finding balance, probably, you know, I realize that a lot of people in their old age kind of tend to look back into nature. You know, I know my dad does. He's in his 80s now, and he really just like gets so much joy and so much understanding from just looking at nature. So like looking at the waves rolling. That you know, something as simple and as repetitive and as easy as that, it really can provide a lot of comfort and meaning. You know, and it's pushing and pulling. It's the way everything goes. There's highs and lows, the ebbs and the flows, and you know, the yin and yang, the good and the bad, the
Sure.
dark and the light, and the minor and the major, and you know, and it's kind of all playing in that. So when you put it to the waltz, it's kind of like a dance of just, you know, just good and bad, and just a polarity, I guess, that just keeps life going on. It's
Was it
just,
intentional to have it in that waltz style of music as
It
well?
was,
As because
yeah.
I mean, a waltz is a back and forth.
Yeah,
type of a
it was
dance.
intentional. There's some other intentional music stuff in there too. There's a section of the song where I actually go to a minor phrase from a major phrase and
Sure.
back and forth. And so, you know, and then all the lyrics kind of, I hope they relate to each other. You know, it's kind of clever, you know, the way talking about the back and forthness and the ups and the downs.
My favorite lyric from the song, something I find interesting that you said earlier about writing a song and not necessarily knowing everything behind the meaning yet. So I would think that a lot of people in the audience can take their own interpretations of something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Got myself a job at the company store, learning how to beg, steal, barter, and hoard. Cashed in my paycheck, received my award, and chucked it out the window of the 32nd floor. Which is, to me, a very powerful lyric. And I'm just curious if the meaning behind the lyric is the same thing I took out of the lyric. So I'm anxious to hear what...
That one I guess came from, again, with the reflection of a guy who's, here's where this one came from. I was reading an article, and this could go back to the hospice thing too, about people who are working in hospice, and they were taking a poll on what people were saying about their lives and if they had any regrets over their lives in the last few, you know, moments of their life. You know, what were the big regrets? And there was like, it was like the top 5 reasons. The biggest one, the biggest regret that people had was working too much. Not like, oh, I should have, you know, had sex more, or I should have, you know, whatever. I should have made more money or whatever. The biggest regret was they worked too much and didn't have a chance to sit down and just commune with nature and just simply be, and just simply live. And so I was like, wow, you know, that's crazy, you know, that's really something that people kind of regret. And so the company store, this is just represents a job that you have to do to get through life, you know, and you know, learning basically how to, you know, not be a nice person. You're having to be a kind of like a not nice person to get through this life, you know, learning how to hoard and, you know, steal and whatever that today's society makes, you know, some people do.
And what's funny is listening to that, what I took out of it was somebody who was unhappy.
Yeah,
Someone
perhaps,
unhappy
yeah.
in a job, or somebody doing something they didn't love to do for their
And
entire
then
life.
here they are at the end
You
of
know,
their life.
like,
it's
here's my paycheck, here's my award, and you know what?
Yeah.
I don't need it,
Screw it.
toss it out.
Right. It means nothing.
Which I thought was really cool. It's a very cool lyric, and let's join Bow Thayer now for his performance of Tug of War.
Me and the missus were scarred for life, years after putting out fires with ice. Roll back the pages, the hands of time, the days roll away like dew of the vine. I'm amazed by the way that the waves roll in, breaking on the breakers in a rhyming sequence. It's the highs and the lows and the ebbs and the flows and the push and pull tug of war you'll never let go. It's the push and pull tug of war you can never let go. Got myself a job, a company store, learning how to beg, steal, borrow, and hoard. Cashed my paycheck and received my award. I chucked it out the window of the 32nd floor. I'm amazed by the way that them waves roll in. It's breaking on the breakers in a rhyming sequence. It's the highs and the lows and the ebbs and the flows and the push and pull tug of war you'll never control. Yes, the push and pull tug of war you'll never let go. No, no, no. Here go minor to major, minor, major, minor,
All right, now we're going to talk with Joey Leone about his song that will be featured on the August 30th performance at Tupelo Music Hall, The Sad, Sad Case of You. Joey, if you could tell me where this song came from, what the inspiration was behind it, and how did you write it?
The inspiration was it was based on the archetypal kind of relationships that sometimes you have in life with members of the opposite sex. Sometimes the relationships take a certain kind of turn to them, but I found over the years that there's certain people you're attracted to for certain reasons, you know, and the physical things and stuff like that might be something that, you know, could take up a 2-second conversation, but I found that that there were things that were attractive in people in general in life that kind of spoke to something about yourself deep down inside you, of who you were. And so, but I didn't really write it about a specific person, although it was based on specific people that I've known. but it was a song that I thought had been done before. And if a guy is singing a song about a woman and he's saying that she's a sad, sad case, it could kind of take on kind of a negative tone a little bit, you know, because he's kind of putting her down. But where I wanted the song to really go was that he was as involved and as much a part of her sadness as she was, and he had bought into it. And the sad part of the song is she's sad, but he loves the sadness, and he's seduced by it to a point where he, at the end of the song, gives up hope. So that's the toe tapper.
So let's take a look at a couple of the lyrics from the song. I know it sounds insane to be in love with her pain. I've been delivered here, it's true, to the sad case of you. It's so sad, but so true, the sad, sad case of you.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, he's been delivered there because, you know, there could have been 1,000 people in the world, but he's been delivered there because there was that set of invisible circumstances that lead you to certain people and lead you to certain situations. And it's not just exclusive to relationships between a man and a woman, friendships. But there's a level of misery that I have always related to that seems somewhat familiar to me. And it doesn't seem miserable. It seems familiar. It seems like home. You know, I've been sober for over 30 years, but my addictive personality was always, I remember the misery of being drugged up and drunk. And I remember what that felt like. And it didn't feel alien to me. It felt fine. And so the song really is about a man and a woman's relationship, but it really is, in a broader sense, about people who tend to go towards miserable situations in life, the sadness of that, the true sadness of that. You're on a subway in New York City, and you sit next to someone, you go, could this subway go any slower? Are we ever going to get there? The guy goes, you know something, you're right. But if you said to that person, what a beautiful day it is, the guy can just get up and move away. It's people's inherent kind of...
Misery loves company.
Yes, and so I think that part of the song really speaks to that, hopefully.
Another lyric from the song, we tried to make a home where a child could run and play, but the only steps I've heard is when she runs away. She comes back, oh so sorry, how it won't happen again. Apologies over promises, but it's just a matter of when.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's the whole thing of people that get in relationships with people who they want to change. And their relationships are based on people changing. Well, people can only change, but it's the ultimate manifestation, to me, of ego when people say, I'm going to change this person. That's a godlike projection that humans shouldn't really get into. You accept someone for what they are, or you move on. And, you know, in the song, she comes back. She's, you know, apologies over promises. But it's just a matter of when. You know, that her sadness will be her glory and her frown will be her crown, which is the part of the song that really is the part that goes through the song.
Right, because at the beginning of the song, it's her sadness is her glory, her frown is her crown. At the end of the song, it ends with her sadness is my glory,
Right.
her frown is my crown. The leading man in the tragedy, in the sad case of you.
Yeah. I mean, that's, and the reason I picked this song, I've never performed a song ever before this, but the reason I picked that song, truthfully too, to get off subject a little bit, this was the song that I had given to a publisher who had listened to the song and given it to a well-known songwriter and said, this is somebody that I think we want to work with. So I thought the song was a well-written song, kind of that way too, but the song did basically, like Rick said and Tony and Bow said, some of these songs kind of write themselves. Yeah, I think it's one of my best lyrics, but I swear, the song was done in 25 minutes. It was real simple chord forms. I didn't get into the whole, you know, let me make it a jazz song, four chords, all in straight ahead, you know, root form, to let the song really speak to itself. And if the message of the song was strong and people were going to relate to it, I don't think you have to be in a negative relationship like this to relate to the aspect of the song that speaks to a broader, like all these guys say in their songs, good songwriters like these guys, they speak to people, and like you said before, people breathe their own life and their own experience into a good song.
Open for interpretation.
Yeah, and I think the songwriter does that. If you're writing just for yourself, it's a selfish thing. You're not letting people in, and I think that's a trap you could get caught in as a songwriter when you're writing for yourself. But when you're writing in a broader sense, and you're not looking to write a hit record, or you're not looking to make the best message you can in the shortest period of time with the fewest maneuvers inside the song and get your idea across. Truthfully, that last line, when he says, her sadness is my glory and her frown is my crown, that to me is the saddest lyric I've ever written. And I've written songs about tragedies in my life. But that one, because he's basically giving up. He's basically said, I'm here, and I guess I don't care how this is going to turn out. It's going to probably be ugly, but I'm here for the duration. Can I make you a ham sandwich?
Well, let's go to the performance for Joey Leone playing The Sad, Sad Case of You.
Her sadness is her glory, her frown is her crown. She might show you a smile while she's putting somebody down. Her darkness is a beacon that can occlude any sun. The mystery of her sorrow makes her my only one. I've loved her and I've healed her. I've held her while she wept. But like the mighty oceans, I'm pulled down in her depth. I know it sounds insane to be in love with her pain. I've been delivered here, it's true, to the sad, sad case of you. Oh, we tried to make a home where a child could run and play, but the only steps I've heard is when she runs away. She comes back, oh so sorry, and how it won't happen again. Apologies over promises, but it's just a matter of when. Her sadness will be her glory, and a frown will be her crown. She'll always let you down until she comes around. Her beauty's like the trap of Venus that could tempt any fly. Her tears pull you closer, away from her goodbyes. Her sadness will be my glory, and a frown will be my crown. The leading man in the tragedy, in the sad, sad case of you. Oh, the sad, sad case, the sad, sad case of you. Oh, the sad, sad case, the sad, sad case of you.
Thank you again for joining us for this episode of Line by Line. We hope that you'll all join us on August 30th at Tupelo Music Hall to be witness to this incredible show with these amazing entertainers and songwriters. For more information on this show, including tickets, directions, and more, log on to www.tupelohallvermont.com. And for all the information you'll ever need on local music, art, and entertainment, check in every day to CiderMag.com, your local music and entertainment authority. And be sure to visit the Switchback Brewing Entertainment Calendar with over 450 local events, concerts, and shows for you to see this month. I'm Brian for CiderMagTV. Thank you to Joey, Tony, Rick, and Bo for joining me today, and we'll see you next time on Line by Line. Welcoming 4 exceptional musicians and songwriters into the studio together at Try that again.
I think you should definitely leave that in.
By the way, I
That's
can't
not
spell.
my fault.
I can't spell for shit, so.
You know what? I should have caught.
Scared for life, that's even better.
Yeah, we just changed that. Retake.
Wait till we get to my song.
Jeez. Not about the test. I'm caring about that.
Chicken.
Sufferer too, right?
Bo's got the leprosy song, ladies and gentlemen. His time in the leper colony.
Why he deserves not be able to.
Could you do? Could Robert Palmer have been here? Simply irresistible. Jesus, Tony, beautiful.
It's awesome.
But isn't that the song you sang at my son's thing?
Yeah.
He sang that at my son's
Yeah.
graduation. Yeah, his graduation.